welcome. Let's see if I can come up with something real quick. Yeah. All right. So, is this working? Yes, no, maybe? Huh. Oh, I suppose I need to cancel. Okay, beautiful. Of course, technical difficulties exist and things happen. So, here we go. No worries. So, 2 weeks ago, here, it had been raining a lot. I decided to take along the loppers because they're a useful tool, and I tend to not bring those. It's so much easier to just bring the hand scythe. So it was good and important to have that kind of a thing hanging out. Those woodchucks are really tearing up that area. It's bad. I'm in debate on what to do with them, but bigger fish to fry really at this point. So Bones doing their thing. They're doing great. I've got the creek coming in really well. So we've actually got to like maneuver to get through at this point. But this has been cleared out. Interestingly enough, I don't know if I even look at it. Yeah. So going back to here, this tree is still kind of up. See that? How it's still up in the air? We'll come back to that in the next video, but you know, here we are with that. So water's doing good. The frogs are really happy about it. Animals are enjoying that they don't have to scour the creek for water. So that's great. Happy that the ecosystem can, you know, have some equilibrium. But it does make this section a little samey. I should figure out. That's probably my next project for something close, is to make better pathing. So I'm going in different routes because I end up on this path twice now, and I don't like that. I'd rather show you guys more than have the same old stuff happening. And remember that this is always on. There, great. Yeah. I can't say I worked that much on things out this way because of everything that was going on. I was just really kind of just working through everything at this point. So it's just more of a check-in here, more than things have changed from week prior. And the same could be said about this coming week, even though I did do some noticeable changes, as you'll see in the next video. But this is all very samey. I believe that I note that I took out some of these. And in the future, I do take out this See, that was the last time. It's gonna be the last time I don't bonk my head anymore. That tree does not exist there. But that's one of those things that these videos help me out with. Because if I wasn't videoing, I would just bonk my head every week. You know, every time I went down this path and be like, man, that sucks. And then forget about it because I bonked my head. But moreover, just because it was not that big a deal. I'm not one to hold a grudge. I'm not the kind of person to sit there and make my life feel worse because of the situation that happened. Um, Especially to like inanimate objects. There's a lot of people out there who like would really hate the tree branch that fell on my car, or like I don't know, computers, whatnot. They get angry and they have to put it somewhere, so they put it into those things. So, nah, not a big deal. Um, so I, with my friend's perspective, coming over here, this space was one that they pointed out as a spot that seemed like a really good spot to exist. This could get cleaned up a lot. This has a lot of potential. And good lord, I've done it again where I've got the dots in front of my screen. So that's going to be fun and interesting. So that all comes down. And I think this is a video that you guys have already seen. Thinking about it, I just didn't delete it from the camera. So that's kind of interesting. I could have these piggyback off of each other. I'm already here, so I'm doing it. But I do specifically remember this. So that actually gives me some good ways to utilize this. So from that point, I can be more clear that. So I pointed out the one that I took down, but there's also this spot up here that I'm constantly concerned about bonking my head on. One of these branches. Yeah. This one specifically. You can see a lot of head movement there. But over here, coming back, there's a spot that I've worked on a little bit more because it's closer. So this will be a shorter stream, but it's nice to have a better like key core concept on what's changed and what's fixed. So this could be a good way to do things. It would get me to stream every week instead of every other week. So we'll see about that. Having them rotate like this would be interesting, but we shall see. So in the space up here, there's just a lot of like little roots and things that get in the way. You trip on them, and it's more of that same level of annoyance as bonking my head against the tree. Like this is just very crowded, so taking the little pieces out here kind of like gave me that push to do more with this area. So that's what I do. So this is going to be a faster one because I'm going to go straight into that. And we're back. Same space, different time frame. Here we go. All right. So I don't know, maybe I could even do these more often, but I felt like 2 weeks was a good amount of time, but I can see where it would lead to some people to not have that routine feel of every week. Every week feels like it could be better. but it is going to be shorter. It's going to have a more concise concept. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Bones are nearly there. I mean, I could probably harvest them and clean them off at any point, especially now with the creek running a little bit. I have some easy water that I don't have to run. Just lots of debris from the storm. But as you can see, this tree is now down. So that's huge. That made a giant thunderous falling noise that freaked me out post, car issue. So we'll redeposit these into what was a wood pile that got cleared out. We've got more than enough stuff to burn right now. There's a lot because of the tree. But yeah, I'm gonna probably this week try to make a better path going around, so this isn't so samey. But at least get the forward and back. I don't know, I feel like it's important to have a circuit rather than a straight line that you just kind of rail through. I wonder. It would be easier to maintain the straight line for sure, but even this is getting out of hand, and I should trim this down a lot. It's just overwhelming that grass is sticky and it feels annoying to walk through. So that's a deterrent to even be around there. A lot of this needs to get upkept. Probably do that today. Just go through with the hand scythe and make my life a little easier. So that'll be good. So much poison oak. I hate it. But yeah, I don't know. So let's stop off here because I took some time and made this bridge actually useful and took out some of these trees here that were kind of in the way. So that's working much better. We have a functional bridge that goes across there. That tree is gone. See, this one exists, but that's higher now, so it's not an issue. So that's wonderful. That's good news for me. Some of that can probably get cut. I like the concept of a doorway, but the practicality is that you actually have to fit through the doorway, and sometimes you're carrying stuff. I should use the circle more, come through here just to get a better look at the creek, but all the same, it's still nice. Yeah. So also, you can see up here, this branch no longer exists. That's great for me because I was very worried about running into it. So hopefully this will be smoother now. I took some of the fruit here from the hawthorn trees and spread it around as an offering to the Fae and to clear up a spot where the neighbors have viewing access. Hopefully they grow. It'll be nice. I've cut a lot of hawthorn, so it's only fair to make it up to them. The space looking better. It's just the work I did from the last video just paying off, being able to instantly pop in or out. Haven't done a whole lot with it, but it's still nicer. So do more with that as time goes on. But yeah, there's just a couple of these trees that could go, and try to be more aware of some of these low-hanging branches. Pop them off as needed. Thank you, past me, for queuing up future me, not exactly as I was thinking of it. So yeah, it's always weird seeing storm damage and going through this path knowing that just like wind and rain are taking down some of these paths. Look at this giant mushroom. It's so tall, so big. Look at it. I was very shocked. It was yay big. Like, you don't see mushrooms get that tall. Yeah, so stuff like that, like that mushroom was not there last week. Like, there wasn't noticeable things that, like, mushrooms are specifically interesting like that because they grow so quickly and out of nothing and not usually in the same spaces. We have a bunch of amanitas that grow, and I'm assume the deer love them, but they're so quick, and they're in more pine areas. But mushrooms are always fascinating and so hard to identify personally. Like, we have a bunch that show up, but if it's not a puffball and it's not an amanita, I'm not great at identifying them. Like, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Everything's over here is doing good. All the little froggies are happy to have their creek back. No comic frog this week. So, yeah. I took my walk a little bit later in the day. It was just, motivation is hard lately, especially with car stuff and just everything going on there. It's soul crushing looking for a car personally. So it's one of those things where there is an offer. It's like a 2017 for $14,000 or something. It's just so much money. I don't like. Oh, it just feels bad. I don't wanna. It's so hard. Like, I've been looking for a job and everything, and nothing's come up. There's just so much that I want to be doing that I have to have money for. So it's so taxing knowing that I don't have it and that things aren't in the best scenario for my future right now. But we'll do our best and progress and just try to stay positive, stay active, keep it going. Yeah. So, kind of had a higher view at this point. Just more like looking at some of the dead stuff that's hanging, just kind of checking, see if it's ready to crack or not. It's important to change your viewpoint. Like, with the camera attached to my head, I try to like have this somewhat downward view, so you can kind of see more of the path, see like the line. I wouldn't want you to get just like looking at the tops of the trees. One moment. Sorry about that. One of the streams I had in the background started up and just didn't want the music to carry over or, any background noise to really filter in. So, yeah, I completely lost what I was saying, but perspective is important. It's good to kind of see what I'm working on here. Like, looking up at the trees might be pretty, might be nice once in a while, but a lot of the time I feel like you'd miss more of what's changing. Like, that's That's what's so interesting. And I was thinking about it from a game design's perspective. Like, you don't see that the subtle changes in the seasons coming and going. So we're at the end of summer here, and apples are falling from the tree. Some are getting eaten, some are starting to rot. So like that's really different from even a couple weeks ago where the apples were just still forming or like they just started to drop. Um, Different weeds and things locally are sprouting and blooming. Um, the grapes are ripe here from some of these grapevines. Uh, it's so interesting to have like that kind of perspective and like have a world that can reflect like growing seasons. Like it's kind of it would be really weird and it could get really bad, but also key point. I mentioned that there were roots and things here. This is a lot of what I was working on here. So that, and then over here, there were more roots and things that just like were an issue. Um, yeah, I kind of like decide like I wanted to take a look at this bridge again from this side because I did a good job. I'm covering it with the dirt. That's doing great. Um, Used a pickaxe here, and that work at the house absolutely keyed me into how good it is at moving dirt around for these kinds of things. So there's also a tree that fell over on this side here that I don't point out, but it was part of like that whole cleanup in that area. So it's good. I'm gonna continue trying to go through here. You got a little glimpse of the sunset. Here are the grapes that are ripe, that are just wild. So that's what reminded me I wanted to talk about that because in a lot of games, in a lot of situations, you go through like it's spring, summer, and then it's fall or winter, and like it's very harsh changes. You don't get the subtle changes or the real depth of the season. Like spring has a lot of depth in everything coming in, all the leaves coming in. Like beginning of spring and the end of fall are very similar in that everything's kind of dead looking and all the leaves are down. But there are even differences there with the ground cover having the snow mulching away all of the old leaves. The, these plants specifically, the Japanese knotweed, are flowering now. So anytime I see them, I have to pick them and get them out so they don't spread even further. Um, but that could be the bad part about that kind of thing is if you had like a fetch quest to do that, it would be time sensitive. And you might not know or understand like that aspect of it. So I can see the good and bad and like why they don't do that kind of thing. But it would be really cool, and I hope devs keep this kind of thing in mind where seasons have depth and that there's a lot that needs to be done to really show that kind of thing, really show that kind of work. So thank you all for coming to my like semi-shorter stream. It's a shorter video. We'll see how it goes. If remember to do the whole like, subscribe, upvote nonsense. That makes the algorithms better. If you like it, leave a comment. Say if you like this shorter style with the highlights from the previous week, because I can keep doing that. It's not a big change for me, but it would be good. I think it could be what people would like, but it means that generally I'm going to do this and no one's going to show up because people take a lot of time to actually like filter in. So thank you all for coming. I'll see you next time. Please let me know what you think. Bye.